Hi, this is Talk K Dramas with Bruce and Dallas.
Hey.
We are on episode 4 and 5 of Extracurricular.
Yes.
Okay. You got your sentences?
I do. And so for episode 4, the business is up and running again, and Jisoo shows Gyuri the ropes. Right. Sentence number 2, Gyuri puts her own touches on the business model with some successes and failures. And then 3, even though this was a shorter part at the end, I think is the most important part. The dean is illegally searching through the students' bags, and Jisoo stands up for his rights. Yes.
Okay, so all that happened in episode 4?
No, a lot more happened. It's like it was so hard to come up with a third sentence because there was definitely 2 trails that were happening here, but like the third one was like it really was kind of like up for grabs for me, but yes,
it also
all of
was
that
the
happened.
Cliffhanger.
It was the cliffhanger, and I normally don't put the cliffhanger in. I normally use the cliffhanger to start the next episode, but I thought that this was significant, as significant of a thing to do, and I'll talk about that next episode.
Okay, so we start this episode, and Chael, he gets a visit from Minhee. Yeah. So he's Mr. Lee. Also,
Mr. Lee. Yes.
Mr. Lee. Mm-hmm. He's what does Ree call him?
Super cool.
No,
Uncle?
No, Ree calls him something boss.
Oh, puppet boss or something?
Something, yeah.
It's something demeaning for sure. Yeah.
So Minhee goes and talks to him. I kind of think like she sees him almost like a father figure.
Yes.
We keep seeing her visit him, and he tells her something, and I don't know if it's a statement or a question when he says, "You don't want to do this." What I don't know what he was saying. Was he like, "What? Like, do you want to do this?" Or he's like, "You don't want to do this."
I think it was kind of intended to be ambiguous for that reason, but you see throughout the episode that Minhee's kind of like rejecting jobs and things like that, and like she's at very least sullen. She's definitely reflecting on her whole life right now, and so she doesn't want to do it, but he's not going to tell her not to do it. That's not his place. I think he understands that, like, that's not my place, but yeah. You don't want to do this.
And she's visiting him and like becoming friendly with him. I'm a little, I don't know, I don't want to say confused, but I'm trying to understand her.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, and I'm almost feeling really bad for her.
Yes.
Because I'm like, she doesn't need to do this, right? He made it clear she has an aunt and uncle that take care of her, that are doing well.
Yes.
She doesn't need to do this.
Right.
Is she only doing it because to try to keep her boyfriend? And then if she is, because she's lavishing him with all these things, you keep seeing it, right?
Right.
And other girls had made comments about it. And I just think it's so sad.
Yes.
It's so sad.
To have her self-esteem wrapped up in it's like she feels so worthless. I guess yes, the idea that they're going for in this, that she still feels so worthless that the only thing that she feels like it makes her worthwhile is the gifts that she gives, right? And
or to keep him, or she's giving those gifts in order to keep him.
For sure, yeah. No, absolutely.
And I stopped to think what she really is doing to make this money.
Oh yeah.
It's not like she's just working at a little restaurant somewhere or coffee shop.
Yep.
She is selling herself.
Right.
And it just makes me sad that she has to do that in order to keep her boyfriend.
Right. No, absolutely. And this is the complicated space. It's like we're supposed to get into these complicated, emotions, these hard emotions about her, because I think the opening scene also really sets up that this is a child. Like, I know in real life, like, the actress is not a child, but the way that it sets up her character is like really a child, meaning like, so because I remember doing this with my dad, and I told you about this. And where, as a child, my father, he survived 3 tours in Vietnam as a Marine. And, that is an extremely, I mean, there's not a whole bunch of people that can say that on this planet. And so my dad was a frontline fighter and everything. And when I was young, I asked him, it was like we were talking, and I asked him, it was like, did you kill anyone? And my brother, who's 2 years older than me, he was like, Bruce, you don't ask questions like that. And my dad just kind of glazed off. I mean, it literally, he didn't say nothing. And it was a really interesting moment for me to reflect on just at that moment and when I got older, but in this space right now, because the clear thing is that Mr. Lee is a former military dude, right? And he's he's doing the protection thing. He lives out of his car. He's definitely not living his best life right now. And so it's like, my question is still like, how did he get to where he's at, right? But for her to just go like, oh, your uniform is so cool. Did you ever kill anyone? And it's like, it's like these bullets, or did you ever kill anyone? And it's like, that to me was like really setting up that she's really a child, like she's really, really, really young. And we're supposed to now see, like, it's like, if you didn't understand that before, you definitely have to understand that now as she continues to make choices in this, or as her character continues to develop and everything. But I'm intrigued, honestly. She's probably the most to me, she's more intriguing than the main than Ree. Yeah.
So last episode, we saw Sue jump on one of the other students.
Yes.
Right? Wasn't he being taunted? I don't even think we talked about it.
No, we did. We talked about how his scores went really low. We didn't talk about him putting that whooping on that dude, but we talked about how we had to, because we had to transition into that he finally went up to Ree and was just like, yeah, you're in. Right? So that was the moment where he saw his failing scores. This guy was taunting him. He saw, he roughs him up, and then he goes over to Reed.
Well, the reason why that is so important, because it's gonna play out in the next episode.
Yes.
Or this episode.
It's where the bullying continues.
Yeah. His name is Chabin. So we see him come in to like the pool house, and Kite and another guy are there, and they're encouraging him to do something to Sue.
Yes.
And so they give him that idea. It's like, look, do something subtle where you just, like that torture where you just drip water on your face, and they say how that torturous that is.
Yeah.
So they encourage him to do something kind of low key, but that's gonna get him to go crazy. And so that's what's happening with them. And then we see at the school cafeteria, Ree asks Sue if he called those judo guys.
Yeah.
And that's the scene where she says, look, you're not the only one practicing creative economics. Yes. And so she starts pointing out what everyone else is doing. And anyways.
I thought that was kind of that. Honestly, it's funny, right? It's like I'm drawn towards the deviance, if you would, but that actually gave me a little bit of respect. That moved me over on her dial in regards to like, okay, I actually respect you. I don't know why I respect her a little bit more. Oh, I still don't like her. I still really don't like her character.
Okay, wait, why do you have?
But
what do you have respect for?
I don't know why it was so like, she was just like, yo, I know this person's hustle. I know this person's hustle. Now it actually made sense to me now that she like pursued like his hustle. Like she just wanted to know. It's like, I know all these people's hustle. I want to figure out what your hustle is too. And yeah, and so it's just become clearer to me that her motivation is not necessarily that she's bored. It's just this is actually her strength. This is actually what she's been, like you had mentioned it before, that she's been trained, she's been groomed to do this, and she's doing it. just in her world.
Yeah.
And like I said, that for some reason that made her less irritating to me. She's still not my favorite character by far. She's still not my favorite character, but she is eminently less irritating to me because, like I said, it's just, I don't know. It's like you with colors. Like we're trying to paint our house right now, and you're like going through this whole ass process, way more than what I would ever even think about doing. But it's like, yo, you got to respect people in their space, and you're doing your thing in your space. And so she's doing her thing in her space, and I'm like, okay, she's not just a bored rich girl. So that's what moved the dial for me. And then there's other stuff that happened later on, but we'll talk about it when it pops up.
So the first thing that the bullies do to Sue is they must have unscrewed his chair, because when he sat down, his chair falls.
Yeah, one of the oldest tricks in the book, but yes.
Yeah, so it starts now. That was the first thing. All those little things just annoy you.
Right.
You know, it so reminded me of Boys Over Flowers, when the bullies could take Kite and them were talking, and they're like, we bullied him so much he tried to commit suicide. And I was like, oh my gosh, that was like Boys Over Flowers, when that kid just finally had it.
Right.
That's so sad. It makes me so sad.
Yep. And and clearly, that's this bullying thing. It's like we're seeing so much of it, right? It's like without any real critique of it, it's present, but in this space is really not being criticized. It's just part of the moving parts of the movie, and I'm like,
we may see that in next episode.
Yeah, there might be some. Yeah, there's going to be some more here in a minute, but
when the police show up, when they talk about school violence.
Yeah, well, we'll see how much they wind up actually doing with that. But the real critique I was telling you about, I owe y'all an episode on All of Us Are Dead. That was definitely a critique on bullying. This one, it's much more of a mechanism. It's still just a mechanism of what's going on.
That's not the focus here.
That's definitely
it's not the bullying. That's not the focus.
It's almost like they made it like this is happening because it's real, and I'm like, whoa, man, really? Like this is real? But of course, I wasn't the one getting bullied, so therefore, I guess
it happens a lot. I think even now. Well, now you got the cyberbullying.
Yeah, that's whole next level stuff right there for sure.
Yeah, you were a little oblivious in high school to things that were really happening, like all these things. I think because you were a good student, and you were an athlete. And
I was busy.
Yeah, and so I think
we didn't have social media.
Well, we didn't need it. We didn't need social media to get bullied. I think you just.
I think I would have been way more aware of it if I was connected to it in some way, shape, or form. It was easy for me to stay oblivious because, like I said, it's like, and I didn't run around with people who bully people.
Yeah.
And so it was like, that wasn't my thing.
Well, actually,
I did know.
You know what they say. It's if you don't notice it, it's because you're the one being the bully.
I don't think so.
We'll talk a little bit more about that later.
Oh, really? You know something more than what I know about my life, I guess.
Yeah. Sometimes it takes other eyes to see what's happening.
Oh, I didn't think I was a bully in high school.
Okay, we'll talk about that later.
I don't know why we're not talking about it now, but okay.
Well, you did tell Carter that you after a game, you beat somebody up.
That's not bullying. That was just a fight.
That kind of is.
No, it's not bullying. That's not the way that I'm interpreting the way that people are talking about bullying right now.
You have a little bit of a sharp tongue. So you were probably saying things to people. You probably hurt a lot of people's feelings.
Now that's true.
That's a little bit of bullying. You don't know what you could have done to other people, what you were saying to them.
Okay.
That could be bullying. See, I told you. If you're not being bullied, it's probably because you're the bullier. Is that the right word?
I guess so. You can make up words. It's okay. It's completely fine.
And what about when you stole? What about when you stole the custodian's
Custodians.
donut.
Yeah, that was not my best moment right there.
Bruce stole the custodian's donut.
I did.
Who does that? Oh, a bully.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a bully, but I was
You don't even
definitely
want to admit you were being a bully. You're a bully. Bruce is a bully.
dang. Okay. Well,
I'm sorry. That hurts. You know what you taught me?
hmm,
If the truth hurts, just say ouch.
okay. I did repent for that one, by the way. It's like,
He did.
like big, like I'm not even kidding. Like that moment haunted me for decades. Literally haunted me for decades. Like I thought about that almost every day of my life for decades. And I saw that custodian later on in life. I'm not kidding. I saw him later on. It was a parking lot. And it was like, I went up and I apologized to him. And I had like $5 in my hand. And I apologized to him. And I'm like, look, and like tears were coming down my face. I'm not even like, it was an extremely emotional moment for me because I was haunted by that. I never wanted to be that kind of person ever. And yet that was the person I was. That was the decision. Well, that was a decision that I made in my life. I didn't, it's like you're telling me I'm a bully and I'm like, okay, I may have bullied people. I may have done things,
but he's not a bully.
Well, that's an identity. So it's like, this is a struggle. I mean, and it's tied into what we're talking about here is like, are you this, or this is what you've done? Because those are two very, well, anyway, you can roll your eyes all you want, but anyway, I repented for that.
What happened? What did he say?
Well, the interesting thing is that he winds up, later on in life, he actually becomes a pastor of a church and everything. And I'm going to keep his name out of this and everything. But he was a pastor. I don't know if that made everything,
well, Matt,
whatever.
What did he say? Did he say anything to you? Like, oh, it's no big deal. I don't even remember.
Well, dude barely spoke English. And so
yeah, that's okay.
And so he was just he understood the emotion, and he was just like, yeah, it's okay. Like I want to say he said, I forgive you. I don't know, but I don't remember. Actually, I think it's kind of
funny. I think it's kind of funny that you stole his donut. I mean, that's so typical of a high school student to do something like that.
Well, I don't know how typical it is.
You stole a donut. That's funny.
It's not. Well,
it is kind of funny. Like, that's just typical. Yes, you would totally. If one of those football players stole your donut that you had, you'd be like, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course they would.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, I know I gave you a lot of heat for that.
But anyway, well, I'll tell you what, after doing that, I don't think about that I don't want to say I don't think about it anymore, because clearly I just thought
all those years that you would eat a donut, would you feel guilty?
No.
Oh, now when you eat a donut, I'll be like, remember you stole that donut? You don't deserve to eat a donut. I'm just kidding. Okay.
I'm glad you're this is really I'm like being all deep and emotional, and you're just, man, you are just poking the bear right now.
I am. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe it's this drama.
Well, you're definitely trying to find a lighter side of things, but there's no lighter side to this drama.
You know what was kind of sad?
You're the one that picked it, so let's just sit. Well, we're just gonna go ahead and sit in that.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
It was sad when he was balancing like his money, and he had to put in there that his dad. Well, first when he put it in that he had a zero balance, and then it said the expenditure, like what was it?
Yeah.
And he put stolen.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, God, that's kind of sad. I don't know. I thought that was a cool scene.
Yeah.
So Ree shows up. It's like late at night. She keeps showing up at his house, and she wants to know how much money he collected. And then she asks about the judo guys again. She's pushing for those judo guys.
Yeah.
And she ends up contacting them herself because he doesn't think it's going to work.
Yeah.
And then Sue tells her Use your brain. What did he say? Use your brain. You're
Yeah.
clueless.
Yeah.
We provide security. Those guys don't need security.
Right. Which I told you.
You did. Yeah.
Those aren't the guys. There's plenty of guys that would go into the business. Those aren't the guys that need their support.
There you go. I was going to say they will go into the business, but she needs to find, if she wants to use them, she needs to find another way around. Not security.
She needs to figure out the type of person that would do it and need them.
Or need them.
She needs to figure out who her customers are.
And she does next episode, but
she does. Keep going. Yes, she does.
We see her getting ready for this big CEO meeting that her mother asked her to attend.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really nothing, but you see the mother, how she's like, take a picture of your face so I can see your makeup.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, go make an appointment with, I don't know, with her salon.
Mm-hmm.
And then she sits, and then when she sees her, when she comes into the meeting, she's like, couldn't you wear something more formal?
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't think any of that was really bad. Like that's stuff maybe I would say to Alana, but I can see how her mother, if that's all she cares about.
And
I think maybe Ree feels that, like,
right.
All she cares about is this business, making money, making me her, little puppet. And that is too much for Ree. Because on the surface, it doesn't feel bad for parents to do that. Parents do that, right? They want more for their kids. They want to make sure that, you're making the right choices now for the future.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that, but there's something skewed in this relationship here.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe the mom is not affectionate.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Ree needs. And that's what's missing. I don't know. Like, I'm actually curious if we'll really find out what it is, because I don't see the mother necessarily being too hard on her. What?
It is fascinating to me when you see yourself in the films that or in the series that we watch.
And I'm like,
fascinating. And you say there is nothing wrong with them. And but I get it. I get why there's nothing why you see nothing wrong is because that's how you do things. And this is this is not a knock. This is not a knock on you, right? This is totally you. Like, she is totally you. And you're like, what the hell is the problem here? This is exactly what I would do. Why is this girl, why is the daughter just flipping out? It's because the daughter's not the same way. The daughter's love language is clearly not.
I know.
Like this, the mother is literally just like, because, and if y'all remember the whole Enneagram thing.
My question is, where is the missing link here?
We'll find out, but it's like Enneagram wise, it's like I always bring it up, and remember I got Enneagram episodes, but I don't do those anymore. But the mother's a 3, the daughter's a 4. The daughter's trying to find her own self-image, and the mother keeps putting her image onto the daughter when the daughter's trying to just find her own and be accepted as her own. But the mother keeps pushing the image that she wants her daughter to be. And honestly, love,
that's killing her.
Enough. That is what's killing the daughter. The daughter is choking under that kind of love, because the mother would just be like, you would just say, it's like, I just want the best for my kids. For her mom, she's like, you're going to be a CEO one day. Get over it.
I'm getting
you ready for this. Work with me here.
Yeah.
And the 4 is just like, well, I'm trying to find myself.
Maybe I don't want to do that.
Maybe I don't want to. Maybe I don't want to be like you, but at least allow me to discover it myself. And that is exactly what's happening in this space. But the thing is, you're right. I don't know if there's anything. If the mother had a daughter who was a 3 also,
then it would be,
oh my goodness, this would be a whole different movie, right? This would be a whole different series. It's like the mother and the daughter, they be together. It's like, yo, I'm gonna, and they're scheming together. Whole different movie, right?
So, okay, yeah, you're right. I am totally like the mom.
Totally. This is why you like the mom in Boys Over Flowers.
What's
Also,
wrong with
you
them?
like
They're
the mom.
perfect.
What other mom did you like that it was just like, whoa? And it was like, man, anyway, but
I
you
know.
like these hardcore
I like to push my
Asian
kids
moms.
hard. I like to push our kids hard. But I try to recognize that's doesn't work for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But so I try to.
It works for none of them. All 4 of our kids, it doesn't work for.
I know.
But this is why we got 2 parents, and that's why I'm the emotional one that talks to them for hours and who just says, hey, follow your passions.
I say that to them. I've learned to tell them that.
Yeah. You definitely have learned over time to do that. But when you lock into something, it doesn't matter what it is. When you lock into something, you will drive that thing home, even though they're like, no, I'm not interested. But you're like, you would be really good at this.
Yeah, I'm doing that with one of our sons. Woo. Because he just, he's got to find what he's going to do with himself. And
you're like, and you want to be, you're a sooner than later type of person.
Oh, I'm like, right now.
Figure it out right now. And it's like,
I know, I told my son, hey, a friend of mine, they just moved her out of this certain position at the grocery store that she was doing. And I was like, you would be great at it. You need to like go over there right now and apply just in case, and he's like, oh no, I said I was going to take this week off and I'm dying inside. I'm burning. Because I'm like, like, no, you need to go over there right now and
seize
apply.
The moment. Seize the day. Yes.
And our kids are so like you. Oh no, this is, I'm taking a little siesta this week. I'm going to start next week. And it angers me to no end. I see it as lazy. And so that's Bruce and
that's exactly like that is our whole entire relationship.
I know. I'm like, oh my God, Bruce, you are so lazy. And he's like, what? I'm relaxing. I don't know if that word relax is in my vocabulary.
Well, the word I would use is I'm thinking, which takes a lot more energy and effort than actual physical. Well, I just say it takes more, but it takes as much, I would argue. Thinking takes as much energy as working. And so
you do a lot of thinking.
I do a lot of thinking, folks. I do a lot of thinking. I'm not gonna lie about that. I do a lot of thinking. And I get, by the way, let's make it clear, I get paid to think. Hey, that's the whole dissertation PhD thing was literally the energy is to create an original thought. Create an original thought. That's my whole thing. Look at your face. Come on now. Don't give me... Create an original thought. Do you know how hard it is to think of something original with all the research and all the stuff that's out there? It is really hard to think of something original. Okay, moving on. Y'all saw her face, and I don't know if you're watching the podcast or the video, but
nobody's watching the videos. Let us know if you watch the videos.
There's a few people.
Yeah.
I think we got like 25 people that watched the video.
I don't think so. So anyways, let me see where we are.
Before you just, where did we go? Oh, it was the CEOs.
No. I know where I am.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Ree takes her half of the money.
Oh yeah. She thought 50-50 for doing nothing or to be an investor was fair.
She comes after the whole CEO meeting, so she's all dressed up, and you could see it on Sue's face. He's like, oh,
Yeah.
Because remember, he had a crush on her. I don't know if that's gone away. I'm wondering.
It doesn't go away.
Oh, okay.
At least not that quick.
So they negotiate a 7:30.
70-30, yes.
Yeah. So I thought that was funny though.
Mhm.
He's like, you're not doing anything. I don't know. Well, you know what though? She gave him the money to start back up. That's
Yeah,
huge.
that is
That's
huge.
huge.
But she's the
I don't know
reason
if
why the
it's
money's
half.
gone in the first place, though.
Is it?
Yes,
No.
she's definitely part of she is definitely, she's the wheels that started that thing
How?
all
Because the
turning.
father came in. The father came in and saw the money. How was
Yeah,
she?
but if he wasn't trying to escape the extortion, the blackmailer, which was her,
I don't know. Okay, let's go on.
love,
Okay.
she starts the whole wheels turning on him trying to, like, you know what, I need to get out of the business. And so he takes all of his money and puts it in the bag in order to leave.
Oh, that part.
Okay.
Okay, I
So if
see.
he didn't do that, his father would have walked in, he wouldn't have seen anything. He would, like, everything was perfectly hidden in
I don't
plain
know if
sight.
that's really her fault. If you could blame her, it's his,
It's not
he
her fault
decided.
directly. It's her fault indirectly, because if she would have never taken his phone, which this is the part now you're starting to get me irritated with her again. If she would have never taken his phone and stayed out of his business,
I see what you're saying.
then
Okay.
then he would be all right.
complicated
He would be closing in on the 90 million won that he needs in order to be able to live his best life.
I could see how you could say that. Yeah, but life happens. He needed to. Why does he not have the money in the bank?
You can't put that kind of money in the bank.
If he did it little by little, really, it's not millions.
Okay, so how is he going to explain to the Korean version of the IRS how he's making what?
Do you have
$10,000? Yes, you do. Sooner or later, you got. It's like yes,
when you do
yes,
your taxes,
you do.
they ask you how much money you have in the bank.
They ask what your income is. You got to report your income.
And do they check your bank account?
You got so someone is going to figure out.
I'm
the
assuming,
government is pretty damn smart, and this is why money laundering exists. This is why
all
of the. I mean, we watched 2 shows on it. You watched 3 shows on it.
Right,
quite
but
honestly,
is he making that much money that they're going to be like, wait a minute, you're not making.
He's
income?
a student out of nowhere who's depositing $10,000 into, like.
This is what I'm asking. Does the bank report the bank account money? Is that how he's going to get caught?
I don't know how it's done. I just know that the IRS will figure it out very quickly.
Okay. So there's another thing that the bullies do, and they put ink all in his locker.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he gets his pee clothes or something.
Yeah.
Full of ink. And he just washes them out. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't.
Kind of eats it. He eats it. Yeah.
Yeah, he knows he's being bullied.
Yep.
And so he does, he doesn't, he's that type of guy, right? He's not going to go running.
Well, he can't draw attention. So the thing about him is that, and I'm almost hoping for him to have here goes the Enneagram again. He's a 5, and I'm hoping for an 8 moment with him where he just rises up and just pounces on these guys. Because he could ruin their lives. I don't not ruin, but like do some damage to them in a way where they would never even know it was him. But the thing is, for sure, right? Yeah. I mean, just Minhee alone could mess up the whole thing for Kite, right? But he has to stay in control. This is why I do appreciate this character so much.
You're right.
He has to stay in control because he cannot bring any attention to himself because he's doing this work on the side. So that's part of his character.
Security.
It's just security. But actually what we found out is that he actually does facilitate. He's a pimp. Let's make it clear, folks. He is a pimp. The way that because I thought the girls were just kind of getting their own stuff, but no, he runs the website. He's running the things and cutting numbers in there and testing to see, seeing if this is a secure, he's facilitating the whole the process. He's not just some innocent bystander in this. Mr. Lee, he's security. Jisoo is a pimp. Let's make that clear. And the fact that this is the fact that we're all twisted up about it is because it's underage girls. Right? I mean, for real. But anyway, we talked about that before.
So this is really interesting the detective is closing in on Minhee. So the detective, remember how they come around the building and they see them smoking?
Mm-hmm.
And then when they leave, she notices Minhee's backpack.
Mm-hmm.
And
that little dangly thing.
And also probably easily that it's the same bag. Like all she has to do is just look back at the film and be like, that's the same exact bag. That's her.
Yeah. Yeah. But we'll talk about that later on. Because I think I think we're jumping to conclusion because we definitely watched the other episode already.
Well, no,
but right now it's just she made that connection.
Yeah, but she can. All she has to do is just look at the backpack and her, the way she looks, her size, and think that is her. I know that's her.
Right.
So the other thing that happens in this episode, Akite, the other thing that they do, they put something in his backpack and cause a search to happen. Which is interesting because so Sue is holding all his money in his backpack right now.
Yes.
Because she's too afraid to hide it at home. I don't know why he doesn't put it in a locker. Well, because they got into his locker somehow. I guess they're not that secure. But didn't he have a locker?
Well, remember, so it's like he was about to put it in his locker, and that's when he found all the ink and stuff.
Yeah,
so
at school,
like,
school locker.
Yeah, this is not a secure.
But he also has another locker like out in public. That's where he keeps. Remember?
Yes, I know.
I don't know why he doesn't keep it in there. Keep it in one of those.
That's a good question. Maybe he's this whole thing is now he's gun shy. I get, that's the word I would use, but now he's hesitant because he really doesn't at this moment, he really doesn't want a Reed to find out. Like he's trying to keep a secret from Reed, and I think he believes this would be me anyway. It's like if I put it in his locker, she's going to figure it out. I mean, like I said, that's especially he can't use the one that he's been using, and I think maybe having two lockers. One?
Oh, maybe
I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
Okay,
but yeah.
So, anyways, do we want to discuss what he put in his backpack? Because I thought I knew what it was. Now.
It's for the next episode because we don't know. Well,
he put something in there, and we kind of do because it kind of show it, I think, when they're in the back smoking. But anyways, okay.
Well, they make a point like, this guy's already probably used it or whatever. And I'm like, all right, what did he use?
Okay. So
didn't know.
What we see at the end of this episode is that there's a search.
Yep.
So Kite goes in to talk to, I don't know, one of the counselors or something. And he's like acting like he's all sweet. All concerned that somebody's smoking.
Master manipulator. Yes.
I know. So the big thing that ends this episode is that Sue does not consent to a search, which causes problems in itself.
Yes.
Like it makes it sound like if he is guilty for not allowing them to search his bag.
Yep.
And then we also see Minhee. She's hiding her vape.
Her vape pen. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the end of this episode.
That's the end of the episode.
Episode 5.
Okay.
You have sentences?
Yeah. I'm like, I was hoping for a better transition than that, but this is the one we got. But anyway, so episode 5, Ree saves the day, but the result of that is that we see more of the controlling relationship that Gertie's mother exerts on her life. I'm just going to keep saying Ree now. Sentence number 2, Ree recruits a failed band boy singer, a failed boy band singer into the business. And then 3, a female police officer sees Minhee from the last episode and has a private discussion with her.
Ooh, I don't know where these episodes are going.
That's what makes
right. It's not just me.
That's what makes the writing good. Yeah. I mean, there has to be some climactic moment. You knew that there had to be some legal protagonist in here, and so that's the police officers. Yeah. That there has to be this kind of big revelation kind of thing for like a moral revelation in one of the people. And through this episode, I'm putting my money on Jisoo is going to have the moral revelation. I don't know, like he's going to be the one that's going to have the moral revelation.
He looks like he
shut
has
this
a little
thing
bit
down.
of a heart.
Or yeah, well, let's talk. We could talk our way through it, but his character definitely, like, you know what? There's a moment in here, and I think you'll write it down.
So the intro, we see them, and he says, well, he doesn't consent. It's a violation of his rights, but he's like very nervous about it. It's not like he's all convicted, like, no, you're not gonna,
Yeah.
It's a difficult thing to go against the teachers.
Correct.
Right?
For sure.
Which was weird a little bit, because like here, kids would do that all the time. Be like, you're not checking my backpack.
Yeah, I think in the United States that after one student kind of stood up, all the other ones would be like, this is not okay. And then when we would have been videotaping them the whole time, because we don't do the lockbox thing, or at least I don't think so. I don't know if we do that, but yeah.
What's a lockbox?
They would take so in the Korean spaces, a lot of times they're taking the students' phones and putting them in a box or something like that. But this one, they didn't have that, because there were multiple students that were filming this and everything. And it's like, do you really want to be this person? In the United States, our consciousness would be like way up, but there surely would be, a dean or whoever, vice principal, that could got like this. But yeah, I think there would be more consensus on the student sides that this was wrong.
So what happened is that Ree sneaks out and she pulls the fire alarm.
Yes.
Knowing that she's going to be on camera.
Oh, she stared right into the camera and then pulled it anyway.
Yeah. How much money do you think he had on him? Enough that would get him in trouble?
I mean, how much money does a student have to have on them for them to get in trouble?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, because he could say, oh, my parents gave it to me to pay my tuition, or that, I'm supposed to take this to the bank.
Oh, I'm thinking he had thousands on him.
So that
by the time they're at that moment, he had thousands on him.
Wow,
not
was
hundreds.
He back to work? Back to work.
I think they kind of got it back to, like I said, he probably had a couple thousand on him, and no one walks around with a couple $1,000s on them.
So Ree has a whole scene. She has this episode where they're questioning her, like, she's a good student. Why would she do this?
She's a model student.
And she breaks down. She has this meltdown.
Absolutely.
To the point where I wasn't sure if she was faking it.
Well, she wasn't faking that. She pulled that out from.
Was she? I mean,
from her soul. Yes.
Well, was she gonna try to fake it? Was she like, I need to just take this all the way? And then her true self really did come out.
Yeah, I think she was trying to fake it.
Okay, that's my question.
And then all of a sudden it became like super real.
Well, she said she's lonely and that she thought she was going crazy, and something about her breath did not get any of that at all. She wants to barf because her breath. I didn't understand what that meant.
Maybe we'll figure it out a little bit later on.
Translation, I don't know. Yeah. Oh, maybe there's something later we find out. Ooh, something maybe her parents did.
If I was going to make a guess right now, the way that they're trying to do the model student thing is maybe she was bulimic, and maybe her breath after throwing up was just
made her sick. I don't know.
That's, if I'm going to make a guess right now, that would be it. But I don't know.
So she's made a couple comments as she gets her ass whooped. It's just interesting, the translation that they use that, because she's talking to Ree in the hall and Sue in the hallway, and she was like, "Oh," he's like, "What happened?" "Oh, I got my ass whooped," and she says that a couple times. It's I don't know. She says it so nonchalant.
Yeah, they're setting up her character. Because of all the people in here, you're supposed to, and I think that by the end of this episode, you get the sense that she's emotionally disconnected. But I really believe that, like, the last bit of emotion that she had, she poured out when she was trying to get out of the whole fire alarm thing. Like she literally drained herself of any more empathy and emotion and humanness, and she just poured it all out in that moment. And now she is totally, like, she is devoid of emotion right now, and so she is handling these things on a purely like business transaction type of level.
Mm-hmm.
While Jisoo is being set up as, hey, he still has a heart.
That's interesting. Okay, so that's interesting that you say that, because it's in this episode. We'll get to it, but I'll just it looks like he's trying to connect with her.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
When he tells her about the guy, he's like, everything went okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, he's opening up a little bit, and she's just like, what?
I thought we were supposed to talk about business here.
Yeah, she
tries to carry. He tries to carry her stuff. She resists, but then ultimately he does.
Yes. He's he has.
And if we stay all the way to the end, he still definitely has a crush on her.
Yeah. So they hide the money in the counselor's office, in the cushions.
Yes.
And she says, I've hidden stuff here before when I've stolen stuff.
Yeah, this is another one of those things where, like, he's trying to figure out, like, he's now like trusting her.
Well, I was wondering if he was thinking, can I really trust her?
Well, he's been thinking that for this whole time, but now that she's bailed him out of that with the thing, I think he's like, okay, I can trust her, at least to this extent.
So Ree's mom, obviously, she gets a call from the school because she picks her up.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is right before that is when they show the little toy.
Little sex toy, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Male sex toy.
We don't have to talk about it, right?
I still don't even know quite what it was.
I know. I was like, okay, what?
But it's definitely a sex toy for men.
Okay. So Ree's mother picks them up.
Mm-hmm.
And she's so like calm and kind of sweet. But I'm like, she has some evilness down inside, right? That Ree picks up or something that we don't know. Because I'm like, what's wrong with her?
Yeah, I don't know.
She's talking so nice.
The thing is, I don't know if it's evil. It's just so not what Ree needs.
Is that what it is? Because I keep thinking, man,
it's almost like
for Ree
it's like the mother keeps giving Ree sugar, but Ree is diabetic. So there's nothing. Well, there's plenty of stuff wrong with sugar, but it's like you can give most people sugar, but you can't. You're not supposed to give a diabetic sugar. So it's to me, it's like that. It's like, it's not evil. It's just not what Ree needs. As a matter of fact, it's the opposite of what she needs, and so therefore it's being interpreted very differently.
I guess I feel
than
like
what the intent is.
So when I'm like that with my kids,
mm-hmm.
They fight back.
Oh, they do, yeah.
But Ree doesn't. I'm like, why doesn't Ree just say, Mom, I really don't want to do this? Because our kids do that. Maybe that's why they're not going crazy.
Yeah.
Because they can say, because Ree doesn't say anything. She just consents to everything.
Well, but that's also a part of Korean culture, though. Right?
Oh, you're right, too. That has that to do.
The massive emphasis on I guess the word piety, is that what?
Maybe.
But of obeying parents, obeying your parents, obeying the structure, right? Because remember, we're talking about a society that uses.
And she said something about that later, remember? Because he asked her, how's it going with your mom or something? And she's like, I don't fight with them. Like, I will lose big time.
Yeah.
If I did.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's also just bright. I mean, she's thinking about stuff like that.
Right.
Like, look, this is what would happen. But anyways, when she's in the car, she admits to trying to commit suicide.
Yes.
To her mother and in front of Sue.
Yep.
And so the mom's reaction, I mean, maybe she was a little embarrassed because they also have somebody in the car.
Right.
Or she doesn't believe it, take her seriously.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Because remember, her mom made it sound like, is it true, being in love or something, you do dumb things sometimes.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's how the mom took it. It's like you're just being childish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Reed was like, no, I was really trying to kill myself. I just didn't cut deep enough.
I know.
I missed the vein twice.
And then the mother asked him if they're having sex.
Yeah, that was pretty point blank. That kind of that almost startled me. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
To me is like the mother was just simply on a fact finding mission. Like,
And that's Korean culture too.
Yeah, and
We've read that.
very efficient,
Yeah.
very
Just to
efficient.
the point.
Yeah.
Why
beat around the bush here? Are you having sex with my daughter? Because that would explain a lot. You know, like that's
okay. So this was interesting. We kind of barely touched on it a little bit, but Mr. Cho, he's the counselor.
mhm,
So he's reading Ree's file.
mhm.
Remember that?
Yeah.
And there was some interesting things in there. They talked about how she's a little unhappy when she talks about her parents.
Yep.
And she talks about how she's gonna take over her mother's business.
Mhm.
And but they wrote it like she wants what her parents want or something.
Mhm.
And they also wrote that she's highly intelligent, but they questioned her sensitivity,
Yep.
like low sensitivity. So you brought that up,
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
know. Is that what like a sociopath would be?
Yep. There it is.
Somebody that, yeah.
Yeah, and remember, sociopath, there's nothing necessarily wrong with them except that they are less empathetic to
And that's
people.
what makes them good CEOs.
That's what, for some reason, and that's the reason why you see a lot of them. I shouldn't say there's reason why, but
they have to be able to compartmentalize, or I don't even know if they're compartmentalizing it.
They're just
it's
making
just
the
who they
decisions
are
without all that emotion ties.
And you
to
need
people.
that sometimes to make decisions.
Well, the higher you go, the more you need to see
somebody that can
the
do
less
that.
you need to see the actual people in these things
that
in order to.
Very interesting.
You know, if you're, as a matter of fact, in the military, you know, the officers, they're not supposed to fraternize with the enlisted folks. And it's like, well, why is that? Well, it's like, look, you could literally have to order this person to die, to stand on that hill. And it's like, if you have emotional ties to that person, it might make it to where you will make the wrong decision for the battle. You will make a good decision. You know, it's like you will make an emotional decision versus the decision that's going to win the battle. Right. And it's like, oh, well, you know, so I get why that is. It's just at the same time, it's like me, I'm a bit different. Yeah.
So we see the whole party scene that Minhee's kind of throwing for Kitae is his birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And they're at the karaoke bar.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that. And she did. And
now there's a big tie-in on this one.
Yeah.
I'm kind of feeling the vibe right now. It's
well, you know, we were talking about Minhee, and she has this party for him that she's throwing. And this is like you know, she's done this already with him. She's throwing money. But what's interesting now, she's not working, so she doesn't have a lot of money. So she gives him a very small gift, the hat.
A hat. Yeah.
But they talk about that. He's like, is there anything else? Like
what else? What he said was, and it clearly this is a translation thing, but it was like, your tributes have been a little bit small lately. Like he said that. I was like, who says that? Like, if you gave me a gift, no matter what.
No, but listen, that's not true, because I've given you a gift. That is true.
I did black, but it wasn't because it was inexpensive.
But listen, listen. He got used to a certain level of gifts, and so it changed. That's all. He just noticed, like, oh, you know, like, really, that's not necessarily a bad thing. But because she started off with lavish gifts,
right,
he may be just thinking, like, do you not like me anymore? You know, it could have been that.
Could have been. Not
necessarily that he needs those big things, but that's what she started with. And so she mentioned that she didn't have any money. Because she's not working. But the interesting thing that they put in here was that the two friends were talking about how that karaoke is actually at night a whorehouse is what they called it. And the women, you know, the madam, you see her.
Yeah.
And then as everybody leaves the party, I don't know her name, but she's one of the girls in Minhy's
The
little
leader,
group
the little lead, yeah,
that's
the
taking the
leader.
lead.
Yeah.
And she's there to try to work a deal with the madam there
Yep.
to start her own little group.
Yeah.
But obviously, you know what was interesting though, when they walk in and they see each other, everybody knows that they could tell, like, do you guys know each other? But she kind of hides her bracelet. And at first I was like, why is she hiding that bracelet? And then I thought, oh, she probably, because everybody else is not working with Uncle anymore, right? Remember how they were moving away from Uncle?
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
And I'm guessing that because she's still wearing the bracelet, they're going to see, because Minhee was the only one that said, I don't want to work with anybody else. I still want to work with Uncle and Mr. Lee.
Right.
So she definitely was hiding that she was still wearing that bracelet.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm guessing that all the other girls left them.
Yeah.
And also she said when she was talking to the madam, like, we're having problems with our security person. And they're like, well, who do you use? As if it's a normal thing, right? It's typical to have a security person.
Yeah.
So has that security part of the whole thing taken, is now there's not really like a pimp? They use this security, you know, in quotes, security. Has that changed? Because you always think of a pimp as somebody who's very mean and takes advantage of the girls, beats them. That's our portrayal of what a pimp does here.
Yeah.
And now it's changed. So now you have a security crew here, not the pimp anymore.
I look, as you know, as business and technology have evolved,
I mean, who would not want to have a security person instead of a pimp? You could probably even leave your pimp and
well, because this is a really interesting kind of turn of events, right? Because and this is definitely a part of a change in our culture of understanding that sex. See, because one of the things that we as a society always kind of thought was that women who were prostitutes did it against their will. Therefore, you have to have this pimp to kind of turn them into a prostitute.
And that could be true too. You're right. There could be.
That surely still happens.
Yeah.
Right? The thing that we have nowadays, the thing that we have nowadays, though, is an understanding that women have agency and that there are women who choose to do this work. And those women, in some way, shape, or form, need protection. And if they are choosing and have agency, then they could also then choose their madam and or pimp or like their security detail.
It's not pimp, it's security.
Right. And so like that, and so that's what happens when you I like, it's weird to say it kind of like this, but this is what happens when you empower women's decision making. It's things become more fair.
That's actually brilliant. What a brilliant idea.
What?
Having a security. I don't know, what do they call them? A server, a provider. Having a
insurance.
There you go. Wow.
That's it. Right. I mean, and like I said, I'm not saying this to talk about approval. I just know, like I said, for a fact, that the way that we talk about sex and sex work and, you know, and these, you know, whether that's the empowerment of the stripper, whether that's the empowerment, you know, a move towards loving the women's bodies, and that feminism is not supposed to be about, this is the only way that women are supposed to make decisions. Feminism is about respecting the decisions that women make and empowering women to make those decisions, and to create a world where women can make decisions and be dutifully and rightfully protected by the law. That's where we find ourselves in a lot of this space. And if you agree and or like or care for that, then what this is just simply a business. While other people are the people who are having a hard time watching this are people that are taking a moral high ground. They're like, oh my God, no, this is not okay because they're not 21. Because that seems to be a dividing line, right? It's like 21, it's like anyone younger than that. And it's like, well, here in the United States, our adult age is 18.
Well, maybe
right?
it's
And
drinking.
so
No,
I don't know. I don't know. But it's like for here, if they were 18 and were involved in the business, then it's like, okay, well, whatever. Right. And so that's where I'm at kind of, but these are, Minhee is clearly a high school girl, but she might be 19.
I don't know.
Or like an adult here in the United States. And it's like, and I don't know, I'm like I said, I'm not trying to approve of it. I'm just saying who has a problem with an adult making adult decisions.
So the other thing that's kind of funny that Ree is doing is she's like upping Mr. Lee's technology.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah, but she's putting her own touches on the business. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so Ree finds another guy. I think she realizes whole judo guy thing. So she finds this guy. Yeah. And she finds out he needs money.
Mm-hmm.
He's just been dropped from, I don't know, group A to B probably.
Yeah.
And, so that doesn't sound very good, but he makes a point like, I can't ask my, parents for money. So she offers this opportunity to him through Sue, anonymously. But anyways, I get the point that this guy's not a big judo muscle guy, that he may need some security, but I'm like, can you just get anybody off the street to do this job? I mean, if I'm going to pay, like, don't you want to make sure the person knows what he's doing?
Oh, if you're a woman paying for sex, wouldn't you want to make sure that the guy can perform?
Can do his job? Or maybe not. Maybe it's more about power. And maybe there is something about having somebody who's maybe timid and I don't know. But he's not going to be that way for long.
Yeah. Look, I know you don't necessarily appreciate this comedian, but Ali Wong talks about this a little bit in her I think it's her third Netflix special, and just talking about like, a woman climax, like guys is fairly straightforward, pretty easy for a guy to climax. But for a woman, it is a lot more complicated.
This is a family show.
What's a family show?
I was hoping to keep our podcast.
It is. It's still.
Somewhat. Okay.
Well, extracurricular is definitely gonna. I mean, we chose extracurricular. But anyway, it's just to say, it's like, you're right. Can you just get anyone? You shouldn't be able to just get anyone off the street, and whatnot. But you're right. It's like, but who's the person, right? Because I don't even assume that it's a woman on the other side of the equation, for the male. We're in the 21st century.
We know that it is. Well, we know.
Yeah, we know this time.
Yeah,
right.
But you're right. It could be, if they ask for that, I guess.
Yeah, and so I'm just saying, right? It's like what you're talking about is something that I did consider. Like, just anyone, but
well,
don't you have to have a skill set?
You know what? Maybe they're grooming him. Maybe that's why they hired. Remember?
Well, they did say
to be nice to him.
They hired someone specifically to be nice to him.
And so maybe this person's going to show him the ropes.
Hey,
there you go.
There you go.
He just needs a little intro class.
There it is.
Like orientation. When you get a new job, you just need an orientation.
There you go.
And then if you're just bad at your job, they just let you go. Get somebody else.
There you go.
Oh, that's all. Easy
fix.
So yeah, because you see the whole thing. He's scared. He accepts the job, but he's nervous.
Mm-hmm.
But decides to go for it. So we'll see what happens with that, right? Because I don't think. Okay, what closes out this episode is that Sue and Ree walk in to the counseling office and sees that the detective is questioning Minhee. Ooh.
Yep.
is going down.
Like I said, we knew though that we needed a legal force to be pushing on this, or else they could just operate. They can operate indefinitely without the law kind of chomping at their heels and
So
everything.
if they
But
get caught, does Sue go to jail?
he would, yes, for sure. This
Reed?
is illegal. Both of them.
Oh, you're right. Well, he could say he didn't know. He doesn't know who these girls are. Technically,
Yeah,
he
have fun fighting that in the court.
Interesting. So is there anything else? That's it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
And this episode only has 10.
This series only has 10 episodes in it, so we're already halfway through.
Okay. Thanks for listening. This is Talk K-Dramas with Bruce and Alice. If you like this, please give us 5 stars wherever you're listening. You can check us out on YouTube, and we do have a website, talkkdramas.com, which I do need to update. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.